Why is one of the biggest companies in the world stopping some of its employees from speaking up for Palestine, even though it's taken bold stances on issues like Ukraine and Black Lives Matter? And why is it going as far as matching employee donations to Israeli charities that fund illegal settlements?
I think that the double standard is a little outrageous when you look at the things that Apple's willing to publicly support versus what they're not.
Get this, back in 2022, Apple publicly condemned Russia's invasion of Ukraine and even stopped selling its products in Russia. That was huge. But to this day, Apple has yet to take a similar stance on Israel's war on Gaza.
Apple stood up. We all supported Ukraine. Why was Palestine different?
We've also heard from sources around the world that some Apple stores are forbidding their employees from wearing Palestine-themed jewelry or kufiyas, even though for years the company encouraged Apple Store employees to publicly support other causes like LGBTQ rights and Black History Month.
There's record of retail employees wearing Israeli flags out on the floor while Palestinian employees can't wear their flags out on the floor.
And now there's also an allegation of religious bias. I spoke to this woman who believes her termination from Apple is tied to her posting Arabic Quran verses for Palestine in the company's Muslim Slack channel where employees communicate. She asked us to protect her identity.
Our prayers were being deleted, and I kept asking the question why. The Christians has prayers in their Slack room.
I'll get back to her later, but first, let's back up.
What's basically been happening at Apple since 2023 is we've seen them completely betray their Palestinian employees for the sake of profit.
That's Tariq Raouf. He helps run Apples Against Apartheid, a group he started while working at an Apple store where he had been for 10 years. He and other employees called out Apple for matching employee donations to pro-Israel groups, including Friends of the IDF and Israel Gives. That's a charity that allows Americans to donate to paramilitary groups in illegal settlements in the occupied West Bank. For people like Tariq, that means
Apple is funding and arming illegal settlers in the West Bank.
I'm a full-blooded Palestinian. For them to completely abandon me and my people, it broke my heart.
a few months after Tariq started calling out Apple on social media, he was fired for what he says was a minor infraction that would have otherwise resulted in a write-up. And he's not alone. My team has talked to over a dozen current and former Apple employees from all over the world who say Apple is retaliating against pro-Palestine speech.
I believe I was fired because I was speaking up around Palestine.
You're not allowed to speak about Palestine at Apple.
Each one of us was fired because we stood up.
Anissa was a manager at Apple for 13 years.
We experienced being attacked unnecessarily.
Anissa and many others I spoke to told me that members of the company's Slack channel for Muslims were being harassed by pro-Israel colleagues following the October 7th attacks. Anissa said when she spoke up against this harassment, she was terminated. Now she's suing. I emailed Apple with many questions regarding the allegations by its employees, but the company didn't respond.
That's what Apple made very clear. The life of brown and black in comparison to European is not on an equal level.